Hello again. This is Nick Lodato, and this is the third in a series on creating accessible documents in Word. Now, this is a bit of a digression in that I'd like to focus a little more on styles because they're terribly important, as we saw in the first two presentations. So let's get right to hands-on for this. So I'm going to load up a Word document and talk a little bit about styles. So this is the launch screen for Word, and you immediately encounter options in terms of what kind of document you want to open up. These are called templates, and I'm going to take the standard normal template. So here's the standard normal template. Now, because I'm not exactly a quick typist, I'm going to open up this Notepad document. Now, Notepad is an application that comes with Microsoft with the operating system Windows 10. It's a flat file editor, so it's not possible to format with this package. It's plain text. So I'm going to select the whole document, copy it, and then paste it into this Word document. Now, notice, by the way, pull that back up again, that it doesn't exactly look the same. Now, even though these are all sort of flat text, there's spacing that's different in the Word document than there is in that original text file. And that's because there is a style invoked in this document that comes from the normal template. So Word has this thing called templates. Templates let you pre-create formatted documents and use them to whatever extent you want for specific purposes. So here we are with the normal template. Now, in the normal template, some styles already exist. So we're going to view the styles as we have before by grab that, make it a little narrower. So these are the styles that are actually recommended. It's possible to change this. If you look at this options button, you can pick only the styles that are in use in a document, in which case you'll see that there's only normal and heading 1 is available to us. And you could pick all styles. And when you pick all styles, you'll see all of these predefined styles that are available to you. So we're going to stick with the option that came up by default, the recommended styles. And if you'll notice that there's a handful of recommended styles, notice that there's heading 1 and heading 2. And let's apply some of these. So we'll go over to what's clearly the title and call it a heading 1. And this looks like a subheading, so we'll call it a heading 2. By the way, notice that when we deployed heading 2, heading 3 became available to us. And let's scroll down a little further and get to another heading 2 and yet another heading 2. And notice again that I can use the style bar here or the style bar on the side. Let's do one other thing here. Let's show the hidden characters so we can see what's really going on. And let's also change our view to see the navigation page. I like to see the navigation page, even though this makes my edit area smaller. I like to see the navigation page because it tells me what my headings are. Now, we used styles here. We used the style here. This is still the normal style. This is heading 2 style. Let's say that this, it says Microsoft offers a variety of ways to acquire Word. Let's say that that should be, we're going to go back to home, a numbered list. Now notice when I clicked the numbered list up in this toolbar, it changed the style of that text that I highlighted to list paragraph. And going to scroll down further, and these are the characteristics of accessible documents, and I'm going to call this a bulleted list. And again, notice that the style changed to list paragraph. So list paragraph is a common component, but as you remember from the last presentation, this is what allows a screen reader to know that what's coming is a list, and it has list items. The headings, if you recall, are the things that allow a person using a screen reader to navigate the document. So we now have a well-formatted document. But what if it doesn't really match the look that you want to achieve? Well, these things are changeable. And I'll get to that in a second. But first, let me also give you a word about styles. People can get very confused about styles. So I'm going to play here a little bit. I move the cursor to the beginning of that heading and hit enter. And notice that this is a heading. So that line inherited from the heading. But if I go to the end of the line and type, this is not a heading. So the way you get text is different. Now this is actually a feature of the definition of that particular style. So how do I find that out? I'm going to right click here and say modify. And what you'll see here is that the heading to style is based on the normal style that's defined for the document, and that the style for the following paragraph is normal. That's why when I went up here and hit enter for a new line, this is normal. Now, on the other hand, putting the cursor here and entering, or putting the cursor in the middle and entering, is giving me lines that are headings. So people can get very confused with this, but it's part of styles. Now, if you notice, I have blank lines here that are all heading 2. And I know they're heading 2 because over here in the navigation bar, everything that I put in as heading 2 is now a heading. So let me get rid of all that stuff. That is just really the point that for this style heading, it's a paragraph style, and it's all revolves around this paragraph symbol in terms of what contains the style. There's other kinds of formatting components. For instance, I could bold text. Now, in bolding the text, whoops, missed the RD, I have not made a new style. If you look, it's still normal. Widely used, I could make that italics. To create documents, I could underline that. But I haven't changed the normal style. These are attributes of character formatting that are imposed on the style. I haven't changed the style. But you can change styles. So, for instance, I don't particularly like this look. And one of the main things I don't like is I don't like the normal style selection. So I'm going to modify the normal style. I could do it from here, or I could do it over here. Now, what don't I like about it? Well, I like serif fonts. So I'm going to pick Callisto MT because the font characters have a serif. And I'm going to change it to 12 point, easier for my old eyes to see. I'm also going to change the paragraph. I'm not sure I understand why Microsoft elected to make line spacing multiple lines at 1.08. I like single lines. I'm not sure I understand why Microsoft wants 0 points before lines. I'm going to increase that to 6 points and put 6 points behind the line. Now, what is 6 points? Well, that's basically half a line. A line is 12 points. So putting 6 points before a paragraph and 6 points after a paragraph is going to have the effect of double spacing between paragraphs. So I'll say OK and OK again. And now my document looks different. I have a serif font here. And notice that the serif font also took over for the list paragraph. Now, paragraphs are, and I need to illustrate this for you, the next paragraph and the next paragraph. Notice that these are double spaced. Basically, there's a line between them. I'm going to get rid of that now. And notice that that's not true here. And that's because this list paragraph style has a feature that says, in its paragraph formatting, don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. So, and this I would normally do for lists and bullets. They're more compact, the margins are narrower, so that we don't necessarily have to have a space between the lines. So, I've changed the normal font. I would typically also change the heading font. I'm going to modify that. I like major headings to be centered. I think the light headings is not the right font for that, and I would probably bold it. And I would change the paragraph formatting. This is formatted to have a space before. Well, typically my heading one is going to start at the top of a page, so I don't really want it to hang down on the page, but I want space after it. So I basically flipped that definition, and now I have a new definition for Microsoft Word. I kept the font as a sans serif font because I think that looks bold. This is heading 2. I'm also going, let me do one other thing here. So here's heading 2. I'm going to bold it and make it bigger. Now notice that, I'll make it even bigger. Notice that heading 2, they're not the same. And that's because what I've basically done is what I did up here. I put bolding on top of normal. Here, I've basically put bolding in bigger letters on top of heading 2. This is not really heading 2. If I reapply heading 2, it went back to its default. If I actually want to change heading 2, I have to do what I did with heading 1 and modify it. So again, in this case, I'll pick the same one. I'll increase this to 14, and I'll bold it. And now notice that the format of all 3 headings changed. You really can't escape styles. Styles are there, but they are not intuitive. You need to pay attention to them. I think the things that help you pay attention to them are this navigation bar, the style bar, and the hidden characters. That helps you get a sense as to what's going on with style. So I recommend you do those things. And it is possible to, if I like this look, it's possible to save this as your own document template. So you can do a save as and pick a location by saying browse, but now it's changed the type to a Word template. And you'll notice that you're in this special place in your Documents folder, Custom Office Templates that are your templates. So I can set this document as a test template. And I've now saved it as a document template. And if I open up that test template, I will actually get this document, the same document, in its complete form. I think that's about it for now. Let me return and summarize where we are. Styles are used whether you're aware of them or not. They can make life miserable for you, or they can help you. They're contained in the documents that you create, and they come from templates. They can be modified, and those modifications can be changed. The key thing is that they're really important for accessibility, especially headings and lists. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. Hope to see you again.